Happy Friday for most of us. Everybody's heading into a long weekend, and many people are heading into spring break. So it's very exciting that you're taking out midday of your last day before a break to spend it with us. So we are excited. It's our last Tech Thursday. We have had an exciting March with so many things going on, and we want to make sure that you check out the YouTube channel if you missed any. So we started out with Josh explaining the whole setup of emerging ERPs, what's going on in the market. And so you can catch the emerging ERP intro on our YouTube channel, which Nikki will share in the chat. Next, we went into a comparison of NetSuite and Acumatica. They are by far the best two emerging ERPs in the market, and we're so excited to be able to tell you when one will work for you better than the other. They're great systems, and we're excited that that is another webinar that you can find on our YouTube channel if you missed it. Last week, NetSuite was demoed. I missed that one because I had to get my hair done. I hope that you like it and think it was worth missing, but it was a great demo, and I got lots of text messages saying that you guys don't even need me. I'm useless. Josh and Jesse had it all covered without me. And today is the Acumatica demo. So I'm super excited to have you here today. And we're going to get Stacy to roll into that, but I want to give you a little bit of other Amplify info first. So today's Acumatica demo is the last of Tech Thursday. Joining us here live means you will get a CPD certificate as well. So stay tuned for that in your email. Nikki will send that out shortly. Before we get into the Tech Thursday, I want to tell you about what else is going on. So as we just talked about, we know it's spring break coming up, and so we know that there's not going to be that many people necessarily in Calgary, but everybody that is in Calgary is going to want to be here with us at the live AHA with Amplify. So we're really, really excited about this session. It is basically sold out, but because of spring break, we've opened some extra spots, recognizing that people will be out of town or get tied up with their kids that are off school and driving them nuts. So a few extra spots are open, even though we did originally sell out and waitlist. So if you've been waitlisted, you should be getting a note soon, and make sure you get on there, put yourself on the waitlist, and or grab the last spots. We are going to be talking to David and Amin from Avante. They're going to tell us about their entrepreneurial story, which is a really exciting story in of itself and probably could be the whole hour. They're going to tell us about search funds. So search funds are big in the US and big in other countries, but they're really just starting to come to Canada and starting to come to Alberta. A lot of people don't even know what a search fund is. If that's you, you definitely want to be here on Thursday of next week to learn what a search fund is. And if you are familiar, here are some real stories, because Avante came through a search fund, and David and Min are experts in this area. So that'll be an exciting topic. That could also be an hour of itself. And lastly, we're going to talk about how tech can save costs. So obviously, we know this from the work we do with emerging ERPs, and David and Min know this from the work they do in payroll. And Avante is a really incredible payroll system that works excellent for so many clients and so many members of our community. So 3 topics, 2 awesome experts, and only an hour to get through it all. That's the most stressful part of it. And included in the event is, of course, some great people to talk to, some great drinks, and some great food. So if you haven't registered, be sure to register, because it sold out once, but we opened some extra spots. And so we're really excited to be sharing this with you. We will share the link as well, but here's the QR code if you're fast enough to catch that. The other things I want to tell you about is our webinars for AHA with Amplify. As you know, every 3rd Tuesday, we do a session, and we have 3 more left before we take a summer break. It's crazy with all the snow in Calgary that we're talking about summer, but it will be right around the corner, and it's coming fast. So 3rd Tuesday of April, we will spend lunch with you. CPD certificates is available, and we're going to talk talent. And so our recruiting team, our own amplifiers, are going to talk talent. We're going to hear what's happening in the world of hiring and recruiting, some hot topics, some tips. So if you're a hiring manager, if you're a candidate, or if you're part of a team, you should be joining us. This is a great session for business leaders and CPAs. Next in May, we have a personal CFO coming to talk about his work with his clients. And so Ryan is going to join us, and it's a personal CFO session. It's great for anybody that has wealth or hopes to someday have wealth. And of course, it'll be directed towards business leaders and CPAs, as all our AHA events are. And the last session of the season is June, and we will be doing human resources. So we're really excited to have a guest come on that's an HR expert. And so lots coming up. Please be sure to join us. And without further ado, let's get on to today's topic, which is of Acumatica demo. So as many of you know, we are recently signed as an Acumatica partner, and we're so excited to be an Acumatica partner. The reason that we've decided to be an Acumatica partner is because we were frankly losing to them when we were presenting NetSuite. And also, the truth is that a lot of companies that are construction or energy services or related to the two were really not being served well by NetSuite, and Acumatica does a great job in the space of construction and construction related industries. So that's a really good feature of Acumatica. And if you are in construction, or if you look and smell and feel like construction in the back office, like energy services as a great example, Acumatica could be a perfect fit for you. And another reason why Acumatica is something that we wanted to bring to this market and community is that the way that it's structured from a pricing perspective really makes it accessible early on. And what we've always said is that people need to be on ERPs a lot quicker than they're willing to invest and take the plunge. And unfortunately, a lot of times we put our first ERP in when we're already complex, we're already lean, and we're already growing at an accelerated pace. And that's when we recognize that, okay, it's almost too late. We absolutely need to get this done. And we wait till it's not too late, but it's a lot more painful and frankly, a lot more expensive. I get it though, right? It's a practical decision. When you're little and you have hopes and you have dreams, but you don't have cash and you don't have certainty, it's hard to make the investment. And Acumatica has really priced itself in a way that makes it accessible to you if you know that where you're going needs an ERP. When I was in Vegas for the Acumatica conference, I met so many clients that were thrilled and excited, and they weren't that big. They were not that big. And not only were they the ERP and loving the ERP, they even took the time to go to Vegas to spend a few days talking about the ERP. And so it was really motivating to see that happen. All right, it is time to hear from Stacy.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. If I can. I just need you folks to stop sharing so that I can share.
Sorry, just 1 second. I'm having a technical issue. Sorry, guys. Nikki, I might need your help because I'm not listed as the host. Okay, there we go. Now you should be able to share. Sorry for that.
Awesome. Sounds good. Great. Find my screen. Yeah. There we go. All right, great. So if I can just get a thumbs up or a verbal from someone, just letting me know that you folks can see my screen. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, John. Sounds good. Okay, great. All right. Well, my name is Stacy Conley, and I have been with Acumatica just coming up on 2 years now. I actually have 30 years of work experience, industry experience back in finance. So I have been your junior accountant, your senior accountant, your cost accountant, your controller. I've worked my way up through the ranks, and about 2 years ago, I decided that I was sick and tired of month end, quarter end, year end, and all of the demands of that role and the job. And I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. So I grabbed my finance and my ERP experiences, and I came over to Acumatica, and now I am in the pre-sales role where I'm showing everyone the features of our software and how they can solve your problems. I like the fact that I can say that I've been there, I've done that. I know I've sat in your seat. I understand the pains, and just wanting to get better information or more timely information, more accurate information, right? Every time you go into a system, Oftentimes you implement that new system and, we're buying it because we need it in the manufacturing area, or we need certain aspects in a certain role in our business, and finance usually ends up being kind of getting the short end of the stick, and we don't really have the programs that are robust enough to handle all of our specific needs. But I have to tell you, when I saw this for the first time, I had so many ahas, and I really am excited about this software, and excited to show you how you can, again, be more efficient and solve some of those problems that you may currently be experiencing. So Acumatica is a cloud-based ERP system. So that means that anywhere, anytime, you have access to your company's data. That, of course, in and of itself is very powerful. We have a lot of people that are working remote these days. We have folks that are working out in the field, and that back and forth collaboration, where if somebody sees something out in the field, or they enter a transaction out in the field, that in real time is now communicating to the back office. So everybody has the same access to the same information all the time. We don't have to wait for an update or wait for someone to come back in the office or whatnot. So there's that one source of truth, and we all have access to it all the time. So what happens in Acumatica is we are a role-based system. So everybody has an individual role, and they do certain things within the company under their umbrella of their scope of their job. So here I've logged in today as Maxwell Baker. Now, Maxwell Baker comes in the morning, he logs in, and he comes to his home dashboard. Every person is going to have a unique, different dashboard based on the needs and the things that it is that are under their level of responsibility, okay? So let's say that Maxwell is a controller, or maybe somebody in the finance space where he wants to know some of these metrics, right? So he's going to come in and he's going to see all of these points. What is some of our AR issues? What are some of our AP issues? I can see what my total AR is. I can see what my overdue AR is. Cash, right? Who isn't talking about cash all the time? Cash is one of the biggest things. What's coming in and what's going out? So what do we have for AP that needs to go out over the next 30 days? We need to be thinking about those numbers. Are we going to be making a big investment in some inventory? Maybe we're a seasonal company, or maybe there's just an opportunity we've got a big project that's coming up and we just have to make a big investment right now. So we're always focusing on that cash number. So I scroll down here on the dashboard, you can see here that I've got some of the same information. I've got it in a pie chart. I have it in a bar chart, a line chart. Again, all of this information is highly configurable. And what I like to say is that Acumatica is actually designed for the non-programmer. So I totally fall into that spot. I know just enough to navigate my way around what makes sense. And there's just so much common sense and natural, you draw on some of those things that you've done over in, Microsoft and Outlook, and where you configure those columns and you do certain things. Well, a lot of that applies here. So it just feels natural. It feels like it makes sense. If I come here into the design space right up here on the right-hand corner, I have the ability to modify this dashboard. So out of the box, maybe this is how it looked, but I want to go ahead and add some more items here that maybe, I need to report on more often. So I can go ahead and I can copy this particular widget, and then I could make some changes to it so that it takes the same source of data and then changes it a little bit and reports it back to me in some other way. I could edit this widget altogether, and I can delete it. I can also drag and drop it anywhere here on my page if I want it somewhere else. Or I can come right down here to the bottom and I have the ability to add a whole new widget. And this particular, workflow here reminds me of like those books that we used to get, like Computers for Dummies or, or whatever. This is a step-by-step. What do you want to see? How do you want this widget to look? I want it to be a pivot table. I want it to be a chart or a Power BI or whatnot. So you can take this and you can go ahead and you can select the item that you want and then hit next. And it's going to say, okay, now where are we going to go? All right, I want to go to the accounts receivable module. Okay, what kind of information are you looking for? And it's just going to be an interview. It's going to take you through. You're going to answer all of those questions. And then bam, you're going to have a brand new widget here right on your dashboard. And again, you have the rights to do that. You've got the ability to go ahead and modify your own dashboard. You don't have to call IT and wait for them, to have some time to come over and make these changes. You're able to do all these yourself. In addition to that, another item that is actually rated very, very high with our customers, we get a lot of positive feedback on this, is this particular area here, in that these items are drillable. So if I see that I have accounts receivable that's overdue of $7 million and I need some cash in house, I'm going to make some collection calls today. So I click on that widget and that brought me right to the source of that data. What is that $7 million that's overdue? Here it is right here on my screen. Now, I don't have a lot of time to do collection calls today, and I just want to make the best bang for my buck, right? I want to work simple, fast, and get the most I can get in the door. So I have the ability to come over here and just filter this information. And I could go ahead and set up a filter and change it up so that I just have certain information that's coming back to me. Or like I did here, I already created a filter and I saved it here on my workspace. So if I just click over 200,000, this is going to go ahead and run that filter that I had saved at one point in time. And now it's going to bring back every customer that's over $200,000. Now, all I have to do is look through this short list of 12 customers and decide the 3 that I want to call, right? I can make 3 quick phone calls. So I know for a fact that Shortstop Sports is really good. Whenever I call them, they always send me money right away. So I'm going to click right on their record here. And now this is going to show me all of the invoices that made up that balance on that previous page. And here they are. There's 5 invoices that are still open. So now when I call them and I say, hey, look, you got 5 invoices that are open. Can you go ahead and send me payment on the first 2 or the first 3? And I've got the information right here at my fingertips. Before I can make that call, I need to go ahead and have their information. I'm going to click on their customer ID. One more click, right? So I've done 3 clicks here. I've gone 1 to get the source of the information, 2 to get the detail of that particular customer, and 3 brought me right back here to the customer record. And now I can see their phone number. I can see their email address. I can come over to their contacts tab. I can see who I need to call. If I want to add any notes to the customer's file, I can put it here. Hey, I talked to John and he's going to mail me, $300,000 on Friday, or they're going to send it over in a wire. Back when I was setting this customer up as giving them open terms, right? Maybe somebody had sent me a credit application, or maybe I got some handwritten credit references from people. I could attach those files right up here. I have the ability to just go ahead and click on that. It asks me where the file is. I can browse my computer. If I come right over here to my documents, go into my scripts and notes, let's just say that this particular PDF happens to be a credit application. I can go ahead, I can say upload. And now this particular credit application, this copy of this file is now attached here to the customer record. And if I ever want to look back at it, reference it, it's right here attached to the record. If I wanted any activities that I want to do with that customer, if I want to send them an email and say, look, you promised me you were going to send me money on Friday and you didn't, you want to start building that paper trail, that paper trail is going to exist right here in the activities space. So this here is like a one-stop shop for the customer. Everything you'd ever want to know about the customer is going to live here in this record and across these tabs here in the middle. Also over on the vendor space, looks just like this, except it says vendors and it's our vendors. One of the areas that's super, again, likable, our customers love is its compliance tab, where you can attach certificates of insurance. When you do the certificate of insurance, you put in the expiration date, and then the system's going to alert you when those expiration dates are coming up or when they've passed. That's huge. Again, in my finance days, gathering certificates of insurance and keeping up on that file was just one of those tasks that just fell through the cracks because we just didn't have enough time and resources. But now if you had a system that was telling you every month, you've got 3 items that are about to expire and you only had to follow up on those 3, it wouldn't become this huge project that just you don't even know where to begin, right? So the system's going to work for you. It helps you with certain little metrics, things that, again, that maybe you weren't able to just keep all those balls in the air at one point in time. I'm going to close this customer record, bring me back to that list of invoices. And then, of course, I've got up here at the top, it opens some new tabs. So I could come right back to that summary, click on the next one, make that phone call, and I'm good to go. I've only drilled down 3 times, right? We clicked. But now if I'm too deep, I don't know how to get back. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come right back up to my logo, click on that. It's gonna bring me right back up to that top space. But what I really wanted to drive home here is that, again, all of the information is just a click away. And again, when I talk about drawing on those experiences I've had in the past, I would have to run an AR aging report. Then I'd have to export it to Excel. Then I would sort it to find out who is the largest balances. Then I would have to go into accounts receivable. I'd have to click on the customer records and I had to look like there's just all this other work that I used to do where now all I have to do is go click, 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 and I'm right there. So again, another very user-friendly functionality within Acumatica and highly regarded with our current clients. So as I mentioned, this is my particular dashboard. We have some other dashboards, right? So our AP clerk, they definitely would be concerned with certain things in the business so that they come in each day and they're like, okay, what do I need to take action on today? I know that we've got a check run coming up on tomorrow, today's Thursday. What do I have out there for packets of information that people haven't turned back into the office here? So I could go ahead and see that I've got documents to approve. I've got maybe there's items that people haven't approved out in the, out in the building, right? Again, in the olden days, we used to take that packet of information, that paper, it would be the purchase order, plus the packing slip, plus the receiver, plus then we waited for the invoice to come in the mail. We attached that. And then we had this whole packet of information. We would write all of our information on it to voucher it into the system, but it needed an approval. We would have to take that paper, walk down the hall, give it to Joe, put it in his inbox, and make sure that he looks through it and gets it back to me, so I have it for the check run. But then somebody says, hey, where's that bill for XYZ company? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I put it in Joe's box, but I'm not sure where it's at right now. We lose official documents, right? So now all I have to do is enter that invoice, but as long as there's an approval workflow set up in the system that says Joe has to approve it, then he's been alerted on his dashboard that he's got something to approve. I keep the actual documents here in accounting with me, and now I have some insight on Thursday. Joe still hasn't approved that invoice. So again, that collaboration, that communication, the system's working for you and kind of closing up some of those gaps. So you're actually going to find yourself much more efficient and not having to deal with some of the other little things and really just kind of focusing on doing your job and doing it better, right? So as I mentioned, this is the dashboard. Here on the left-hand side, these are what we call workspaces. And of course, you can see we have individual workspaces, the payables area, the receivables area, fixed assets. If you're a construction company, you'd have a projects area. These are all turned on for demo purposes, but typically in your world, you wouldn't have access to all of these, right? We want our project managers to be looking at projects, but he's probably not going into the banking tab, right? Or the payroll tab. So just know that based on the roles and the functionality that's turned on and off for each individual, those permissions is going to limit as to what you can see here on the left-hand side. If I open one of these areas, let's go accounts payable. You can see right here, what do I maybe have 20 options of things I can do here right now. But this isn't everything that you do in the payable space. If I come down here to the bottom, this says show all. If I hit show all, now there's going to be a ton more options and reports and transactions and things that I can do that are all available to me here. But I find this to be very cluttered, right? And so each day when I'm working, I don't want to be looking through all of this stuff. I want to be more efficient. So I have the ability to turn on and off what I see on a regular basis. And then when I'm doing kind of those one-offs and I'm looking to do something else, then I can go ahead and I can ask the system to show me all, where I can come in here, hunt and peck and try to find those other areas. So this little cogwheel right up here is going to go ahead and allow me to turn on and off those items. And then once I click back out of it and I exit and I show less, those are the items it's going to show me. And I'm going to do the exact same thing in my receivable space. I'm going to do it in my finance space. But additionally, I can come over here on the left-hand side and I can just change that little star, hollow star, and go ahead and make it yellow. I actually clicked on the item. I can go ahead and make it yellow, right? What I'm doing there is I'm favoriting the this particular area. And now, because we all wear a lot of hats, right? because here I am in the accounting space. I do journal entries. I do run reports, but I also pitch in with payables and I enter bills. And I also want to see that aging report from time to time. In my receivable space, I help out by applying payments or sending invoices or doing collections. So now, instead of working out of each of the individual workspaces, I can come right up here to my favorites. And now all of my hats live in one place. Here's my finance functions. Here are my payables functions, my receivables. If I'm going to go into the project space, and it's all right here on this one screen. I'm going to work out of this 95% of the time. But when I'm looking for something else, I can come over here into these spaces and look for it there. This white box right up here, this is kind of what we call the Google search of Acumatica. So you go out to dinner with friends or family and somebody asks a question, hey, who was that actor that was in that movie? And someone's like, well, I don't remember, like Google it. So we would come up here and this is what you would do. A great example of this, I actually didn't even ask you guys, Nikki or Josh, are you guys in the United States? You're not up in Canada, are you? You did mention Toronto or something.
We're in Calgary.
Okay, all right, you are. Okay. Well, I was going to use the 1099 as an example, but I'm not going to do that now. Okay. So because you guys don't do 1099s, right?
No.
So in the United States, we do 1099s, but you guys have a separate form for that. That's fine. But so if I was going to come up to this space and I was looking for how to process those 1099s, because I only do them once a year, I would type in 1099 here and it would bring me back that item. So in this particular case, I'm going to go, the one thing I want to show you here, and then we'll move on to the other example, because I didn't want to use the 1099 example. But what I did was, when I typed in 1099, it brought me back every menu function in the system that is 1099 within its configuration. If I'm absolutely not sure what I do in each of these spaces, then I would come over here to the help topics, and this would give me an explanation of each of those areas. But more importantly, I'm specifically looking for, maybe it was invoice 1099. Maybe I have a project that's 1099 Main Street. So under transactions and profiles, this is going to bring me back every transaction in the system that just has 1099 within its record. So you can see here, AP payment, it must have been check number 1099 that I cut and sent to Office Maximum. This here is an AP bill. This was invoice number 1099. So, right, you have a vendor that calls you and says, hey, can I get a status on invoice 1099? If I type that up here, go into my transactions, it's going to show me that I did in fact enter that invoice. And now I can figure out what's going on. Maybe it's waiting for approval and I can't process it yet. Or maybe I already sent the check and it's just crossed with the customer or the vendor calling you. So the other example I like to use here is a phone number, right? So I'm busy, I'm working, and all of a sudden I look down and I see on caller ID, I'm getting a call from 212-555. And so I type that into my box while I'm answering the call and I'm like, hello, and they're like, hey, this is Amelia calling from Alta Ace, just following up on that credit application that we're trying to get moving along. Okay, great. So I typed in the number, I already knew it was Alta Ace calling, and now all I have to do is click on that customer record, and that brings me right there. Now I can update whatever information Amelia's calling me with. Maybe it's a new address, maybe it's a new phone number. I can add Amelia as a contact here. I could also add her back over to the general tab because she's the accountant and deals with the orders and the payments. But again, quickly, I was able to just come right up here, type it in, and it brought me right to that record. Now, on top of that, we also get interrupted throughout the day, right? Maybe you come in the morning, you see somebody, you're grabbing a cup of coffee, and you ask somebody a question. And later on, 3 hours later, the next day, they come in, they poke their head in your office, or you're on a Teams chat, and they say, hey, by the way, I have that answer for you. And they go ahead and they give you that answer. Now you need to come back into the system and maybe update something that you were looking for an answer for. You could do that by going back to the original workspace or coming into your favorites, but you could also use this little steering wheel right here. And this here is your recently viewed items. So when I click on that, that's going to go ahead and tell me, well, I was just in customer Alta Ace. But maybe when I asked that question to Joe this morning, it was because I was trying to finish this expense claim. And so now all I have to do is come right here, click on the expense claim, add the one feature I needed, and then go right back out to what I was doing. So, you know, we all understand that, right? Phone calls, you get called out, you get called into the conference room, whatever it might be. You're working from home and the dog wants to go in and out. I don't know if you guys have this, but my dog goes in and out 100 times a day. Like COVID was the best and the worst thing that happened for my relationship with the dog. So now I can come right back here, not lose my way, and I'm right back to what I was working on. And the last item I wanted to go ahead and show you is this section right here. Acumatica is a multi-company and a multi-branch system. So what that means is if you currently have multi-companies, you can go ahead and list those multi-companies here and keep your accounting and your books separate. If you have multiple branches or warehouses or, you know, just different buildings and you want to put it under your company, but put in separate branches, you can do that as well. Some people like to use this tool for different lines of business, right? I have one company and I want to separate my retail division and my wholesale division. I want to be able to run a P&L separately for each of these particular items. Although we're one EIN and when we file all of our taxes as one company, this gives me the ability to break out my financial report so that I can see them each individually, right? So you can see here that
I'll just pause there for 1 second, Stacey, because I think that this is a good point to reinforce. In today's world, you know, the QuickBooks and the Xeros and the tech stacks and the apps they're pretty sexy, they're pretty easy, and individually they're not necessarily very expensive. So people can be resistant because they're getting great technology that looks good and feels good. Oftentimes the total cost of all those apps is quite astronomical compared to what you realize, but nonetheless, you're used to the devil you know. And people wonder, what is the driver that would make an ERP necessary? And I think that what you're pointing out here is often that driver. And when you start getting into the complexities of multis, whether it's multiple companies, multiple regions, multiple products, multiple services, etc., that's really where those tech stacks and those general ledger systems just don't even hold a candle to Acumatica, right? And so exactly what you're talking about, this slice and dice and the need to see things from a legal entity perspective, which is obviously compliance and required, but that doesn't always match with what you need to look at from an operational and decision-making point. So it's really good to see. I know we had a question from one of our members about multiple companies and consolidation. So I'm glad that you're highlighting this. That's really, really important. And it's one of the most important reasons why an ERP is going to be necessary for your future, right?
Totally. Excellent. And that's actually a great transition here. Now that we've spoke of that, let's go ahead and we'll dive into the finance space a little bit, because that is core functionality, right? Any new system, we want to make sure that our general ledger, chart of accounts, all of that is set up and moving. So in the finance space itself, we have lots of options and things that we can do here in this particular space. I want to start off by just pointing out that we can manage that master financial calendar, whether we're a calendar year or a fiscal year. We also can run allocations. We can control things, recurring transactions, and put those on a schedule. But chart of accounts, right? Chart of accounts, there's the core of our business. So, you know, as you are looking at new ERP systems and you're trying to make those decisions about which direction you're going to go, this is obviously the very, very best time to stop and look at how you're currently set up, what's working for you and what isn't, because this is a great time to make that change. Our chart of accounts, pretty standard, and we haven't met anybody that we haven't been able to meet their needs. Our main account, the natural account, you can have up to 10 characters. More often than not, I usually see 5 in industry. You know, 10,000 for cash, 40,000 for sales, whatever it might be. And then under the sub-account section, you have an additional 30 characters. So talk about a pretty complicated GL number, right? You can have multiple segments. You could have 30 segments of 1 digit. You could go ahead and do, you know, sections of 3, which it tends to be common if you're doing like, you know, lines of business, or if you're doing departments, finance, HR, you know, warehouse, whatever it might be. So chart of accounts, up to 10 characters on the natural account, up to 30 characters on the sub account section. And you can use as much or as little as you need. We also have budgets within Acumatica. These here are, these are done, a lot of the heavy lifting is done out in Excel, but a great powerful tool. That functionality of being able to export anything out to Excel, make those changes, import it right back in. That's another one of our very highly likable features that, you know, we wear on our arm badge pretty proudly. We also have just general inquiries, some reports, some financial statements, which I'll close out the finance area by reviewing some of these. And then, of course, as you know, with GLs, the hardest part is setting it up and setting all those parameters and how do we want things to look and be classified and defaulted and all of that, and where we want it to drop into reports. So all of those preferences would be set up obviously in the initial phase. So I went ahead and I showed you the finance the controller dashboard. We talked about the AP dashboard. And then the other one which is another popular one, of course, is just the AR. So I just figured I would show that to you here. And then I'm going to take us right back over to the finance area and get into some of the guts of a few transactions here. So you can see here's the accounts receivable dashboard. Again, very similar to what we were looking at before, but things that are very relevant to that AR role and things that you want to be looking at. You know, on your way in, you're jamming out to your music, you're in the car, you're doing your own thing. And then when you get into work, all of these items that require your attention are highlighted here in red and things that you can take action on right away. So back in the finance space, the journal entries, I just wanted to show you that we are, this is what the space looks like. If I were to enter a brand new journal entry, here we are at the end of March, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do one of my month-end procedures. I'm going to do my March PTO accrual. I'm going to true up what we have for open balances. I can go ahead and hit plus, and I can start entering all of my individual lines, or I could go ahead. I've already done that analysis in Excel. I have all of my backup there that supports my journal entry. All I have to do is import that journal entry. So here's my GL upload sample. I'm going to go ahead and upload that. The system's now doing that matching. It's saying all of the columns in my spreadsheet, do they match the columns here in Acumatica? When I hit OK, that's going to bring that journal entry right in for me. I could then take that Excel file. I could attach it right here to the files. And then perhaps myself as the junior accountant, maybe my boss needs to approve this journal entry. If I go ahead and I create the journal entry and I just put it on hold, then the approval is set up for my boss, Maxwell Baker, let's say, to approve it. I've got my attached backup right up here. Maxwell will be able to come into this journal entry later on, look at the data, and then go ahead and approve my journal entry. Again, that collaboration. I'm giving you everything you need to do your step. And then once you finished it and approved it and released it, release means booking to the general ledger in Acumatica. So then the process is done and it's taken care of. Again, like, let's also think about our auditors, right? At the end of the year, they come to us and they say, okay, I want a copy of this invoice and I need a copy of all your fixed assets, and I need copies of the, you know, your expense reports. And well, if you're using that files functionality, then in fact, you might have many of those documents already attached within the system. And I'm going to highlight that here in accounts payable. In order to do an accounts payable voucher, very simple. I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to start a new voucher. I go ahead, here's a list of all my vouchers, and you can see here that I went ahead and I started to enter an electric bill earlier. When I did that electric bill, I went ahead and I said, I've got a bill from Edison Power. Here's the period I want it posted to. Here's my date. Here's my the date span of the bill. But notice that what I did was it was a $2,500 bill, but I wanted to spread that over my current division, the wholesale division, but I also wanted to charge part of it to our other branch or our other company, the Services East division. So when I do that, all I have to do is just pick those different branches because they all live right up here in that multi-company area, multi-branch, and I just break out that invoice, and we're going to charge utilities expense for each of those items. Once I'm done with this journal entry, the system is then going to, here, so 3 of them. Yes. So in this particular example, it was $3,500. Maybe I broke it out by square footage. Maybe I broke it out by head count. I come over here to the financial tab. You're going to see this is the batch that got posted when I posted that invoice. What I want to show you here is that you can see accounts payable created the voucher. I owe the electric company $3,500. Here's my utilities expense for each of the 3 individual branches. But then the system did my intercompany transaction for me. It did my due tos and due froms. This is a huge item with folks that need that intercompany functionality. When I show this in a demo, you can hear them smiling through the video. I mean, they're just, are you kidding? This is going to make my month-end reconciliation so much easier. And then there's one other bit. This is an add-on. So usually I wouldn't typically go there in a particular demo because this isn't part of the regular general edition. There is an add-on if you want additional functionality. But I just want to explain to you, if there is somebody out there that's currently using some automation in their payables area, I want you to know that that functionality does live in Acumatica and it is available. And it's literally as easy as taking a PDF copy of an invoice and dragging it right into Acumatica and dropping it here. So if you folks have that functionality currently, you saying it's a must-have, it's a deal breaker. If the new system doesn't have it, please know that Acumatica does offer it. And I'll just go ahead and open this for you and show you that what happens is now it has scanned that invoice right here into the system. I can ask it to recognize. It's going to start that AP vouchering process for me. It's going to grab my vendor. It's going to grab my due date and invoice number and dollar amount. And it went ahead and created my line item to say that I bought 10 cases of copy paper at $25 a piece. And then once I save and continue, this brings me back to the payables area where I can make any changes if I want to. I could go ahead and attach it to a purchase order if in fact the vendor didn't put the right information on the original invoice. They wrote verbal and didn't reference the actual PO. I can also, if there's discrepancies, right? I ordered 10, but I got 11. There's a pricing variance. You can deal with all of those items here in the bills and adjustment space. But now see that bill is attached here to this record. So if your auditor says, can I get a copy of that bill? It's right here and it's already inside of Acumatica. And then lastly, let's go back to the finance space and let's talk about those financial reports again. This is a P&L report, pretty generic. It's not too fancy. I'm gonna run it for a past date where we have more data. And you can see here that I've got my period to date amounts. I've got my year to date amounts. And this is just a standard format for a P&L. This may not have the look and feel for the reports that you currently have, but know that they're configurable. Rows and columns can all be amended in Acumatica. If you have the permission, you can do it, or they can just give the permission to certain people that maybe have some report writing experience or skills, but know that it's pretty simple to do by inserting lines and inserting columns to give it exactly what it is that you need. Know that this functionality here lives throughout Acumatica as well. You'll always be able to print it, send it internally, externally, or you can export it out to Excel or to a PDF file. Come over here to this rolling 12 months. This particular report, this one speaks to my inner geek. Again, finance people who love reports and data. This rolling 12-month report is a P&L for all the 12 months. And you can look here, you're doing your analysis at the end of the month or the quarter or the year. You can look for those inconsistencies and see where maybe we missed a bill, something was categorized wrong, whatever it might be. But again, just like I showed you on that dashboard, this is drillable. It's blue, it's got an underline. All I have to do is click on this particular number, and this is going to bring me right back to the GL, and it's going to give me the detail of what made up that particular number in the P&L for that month. And so if I want more information on this, if this didn't give me the answers I need, I can drill back into the account and do more analysis there. but again, drillable. It's just one click behind the next in order to just work your way back. And again, that's another item that just you don't see in all systems, and it's just such a huge time saver, and people are just, oh, people love it. Okay, so that's an example of what you don't do in a demo. You don't close your demo space.
Well, that's okay. While you're opening your demo screens, there is a few questions, so let's take a minute to answer some of those. One of the questions was whether or not the sub accounts are numbers only. So with the chart of accounts, is it just numeric?
Nope, it's letters or numeric.
Perfect. Another question that came up was about field service ticketing systems, which records LEM. So I think that with Acumatica, if you have a ticketing service need, you would use an ISV, right? The apps that work with Acumatica, or is that right within Acumatica?
We do have a field service module, which communicates with projects. So if you do projects, but then you go out and you service and maintain those items, or maybe you're an electrical contractor and you just go out and all of your work is produced by field tickets and you issue those tickets, all of that can be managed and done in our field service module.
Perfect. No, that's really interesting because a lot of the industries here in Alberta do use field ticketing. So that's really good to know. Another industry specific question that's coming up is about oil and gas producing companies and whether Acumatica serves E&P, oil and gas producing companies. Is that an area that you guys work with a lot?
We actually do. I did a demo earlier this week for someone up in Canada for exactly that. And I will tell you that that client base is growing. Absolutely.
Oh, good to know. Good to know for sure. So we also know that with the energy services industry, which is running parallel to the producing, that Acumatica has proven to be an excellent option. So that's great to know. We have another question about accounts receivable statement of accounts and what that report looks like. So recognizing that you might not be prepped with this demo to show it to us, but the statement of account, that must be a feature that's right within Acumatica.
Sure, and perhaps it could be just a difference between what I might call it and what you might call it, but let me just bring up 12. Oh.
No worries, we didn't. If you can't show it because we didn't tell you in advance, don't worry about that. Another question that came up is the Acumatica portal, what's feeding it? So, you know, are the portals preset based on roles and then you can customize them, or how are the portals fed and designed?
I'm not sure I understand that question. So
I guess the dashboards where you have the red, the green, and the yellow.
yeah.
Would those be set up based on the role that I've been assigned to begin with? Like
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and
from there I can customize it if my role isn't, you know, standard out of the box requirement.
Absolutely. Yep. Nope.
Okay.
You're 100% correct. So if I'm an AP clerk, but I also wear a finance hat and I do some other things in the finance space, you absolutely can have other metrics here on your dashboard, and you have the ability to do that. You know, a great example of that here is a construction project manager. And I'll just show you that this particular manager, yes, wants to see his projects and wants to know which employees are being underutilized perhaps, but he also wants to know what he has out there, like for profitability. You know, I'm being held accountable for profitable projects. So I want to be able to see the unprofitable projects. I have to dispatch a field, a service, my manpower, and what we do is weather dependent. I can have a link to the weather service that's going to show me what the weather's going to be for the next 5 days and whether or not I can dispatch those guys to go work outside. Items that are out there for my approval can be here in a list. You know, requests for information. Again, anything you have the ability, my tasks, if there are tasks in the system that have been assigned to you by other people or you've created yourself, those tasks can show up on your dashboard. So absolutely customizable to bring back any data that you need.
We have another question about AP automation and whether or not right within Acumatica, there's the opportunity to read invoices and remember previous coding and basically use OCR. Is that something that's within, or do you use a ISV or an app for that?
Nope, that is absolutely built within, and it's in that incoming documents, that advanced document recognition. That's the add-on. So you've got your standard accounts payable functionality, but then we've got that advanced document recognition where that can be added on and makes the system a little bit more robust.
Perfect. Okay, I will pause on questions. Keep them rolling in though, and I'll let you do some of your final demoing before we get back to chatting.
Sounds good. So one of the other things that I was going to show you is we do have a mobile app, which also comes with the regular business edition. So I'm in the process of connecting to my phone right now. Okay, let me put my code in here. Right, here we go. That's Vader making a guest appearance here on the demo. So now I'm going to go into Acumatica. I had it open earlier. So this here is basically my dashboard. And now I've logged into my mobile device. And now this is going to give me access to all the same information. So you can use this out on the job site. You can use this out on the road between customer spots. And again, similar information. So I can tell it what KPIs I want to show on my mobile device. Obviously, it's a smaller real estate here, so I don't want everything to just clutter the whole thing, but I can turn on and off what I want here. This is that recently viewed that we had back on our main site. This right here, I can toggle between the items that I've done recently there. And as I scroll down, you can see all of my individual workspaces. I can scroll into all of these as well. So I have the ability to go ahead and look at items here on my mobile device or, you know, external laptop or tablet, but know that this functionality also comes with the Acumatica product. There is another item, which is an add-on. Actually, the expense part of it. See this time and expenses right here. For those that have needs for folks that do expense reports. So if I go ahead and I click expense receipts, and I want to go ahead and I want to start a new receipt, all I have to do is hit the camera down here at the bottom. And I can go ahead and take a picture of my receipt. So I'm in the company vehicle. I just stopped and got gas. Maybe I went to Home Depot and picked up something for the guys in the field. Maybe I went to lunch with a client. Oftentimes these receipts never make it back to the office. And again, I'm speaking from, you know, all of those scars and emotional damage that's been done to me over the years working in finance. And so I've gone ahead, I snap a quick picture of that receipt. I'm sitting in my car, I've done that. Now I've got that receipt. It's recorded in the system, and I don't have to worry about if I lose it. So now you can go ahead, it went ahead, it figured out where did I go? What day was I there? Based on this particular description, it's probably parking, it knew that, and it's gonna go ahead and give me the dollar amount and carry it over. Now, if this was a particular trip that I took specific to a project or something, I could charge it to a project. I can also come down here and under the details tab, if I'm using a corporate credit card, I can go ahead and say that I use the corporate credit card. Now this receipt has been documented on my part, sent into the office. You have a copy of the receipt, and I'm letting you know that this should be reconciled to the corporate card. If this was made with my own card and it was going to be an expense claim and I was expecting to get reimbursed, I can click right on this space and I can go ahead and say this is my personal account.
And so what, let's say this park shuttle turns out it's a restaurant with a weird name and it should be meals and entertainment. If you switched it from the car and vehicle charges to meals and entertainment, would it pick up on that next time you ate there?
Yes. Yep. That's that whole AI, you know, we're going to start recognizing your habits. Yep, exactly. Yep. So all I have to do is save this item. And now there's my whole list of receipts. If I come back over to the time and expense work area, and I open up expense receipts, you're gonna see that that park shuttle and fly is right here in the system in real time. The folks in the back office can see that I've added an expense here for $2.99, and the little yellow paper clip is lit up because there is a photo attached to that. It's the end of the day, it's the end of the week. I come back, I'm sitting at my, at home and at my kitchen table, and I'm organizing all my paperwork for the week before I go back into the office. I can go ahead and create that expense claim. When I hit the claim, I'm gonna go ahead and hit plus because I want to create a new claim. And now the system's gonna say to me, look, what do you want? What's the claim gonna be? And I'm gonna say I want to add receipts. I want to add all the receipts that I added this week that I haven't claimed yet. So I'm just gonna hit add receipts down at the bottom. And now it's gonna show me all of the receipts that are available for me to grab. And all I have to do is grab them. And then once I save this and come back, it's gonna go ahead and it's gonna create that claim for me.
And what about, one of the things we struggle with up here in Canada is that the American-based systems often struggle with GST and our provincial sales tax and our HST. Can that be configured in here so that it's always picking up the GST and booking that correctly?
What does GST stand for?
Oh, it's like the government sales tax.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it like when you buy something, right? You go to Staples, you buy a case of binders and it costs $50 for the binders, but then there was $5 worth of sales tax. That's going to be an additional line on the invoice. And so when you're processing that through payables, you're going to pay Staples, or you're going to pay your credit card because you went ahead and charged $55 at Staples. You're going to pay the credit card $55, but in terms of breaking that invoice down in Acumatica, $50 is going to go to office supplies, and the other $5 is going to go to that sales tax account. And then that's going to be built up in its own account so that at the end of the year, when you folks are doing any kind of tax reporting or claiming taxes that were paid for certain materials, you'll have that item broken out as a line item, just like you would freight or anything else.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Yep. Excellent. So, I mean, there's other workspaces, if anybody's interested in a demo, we customize our demos to, meet the needs of each client. If you need to go into fixed assets, if you want to see how the inventory module works with accounts payable and how the purchase orders and all of that, so, again, all of these, are add-on modules that we're going to meet the needs of your particular business and how you do things, but that core general business edition is basically that finance package. And that's actually where Acumatica started way back in 2005 when we were born in the cloud, and our first product was the finance GL piece.
And that reminds me, one person did ask about security. So obviously with the cloud and accessing through your phone and everywhere, do you just want to touch on the security component?
Yeah, I actually, I know very little about it. However, we operate on the Amazon web, it's AWI. Yeah, and so we're 100% fully, secure, and we're operating on one of the biggest, infrastructures out there. In addition to that, as far as like other software vendors that, like an ADP that you might be working with, you're looking for your payroll to speak to Acumatica and vice versa. We do have an open API where we let other software vendors integrate with us. So if there are some things that you're currently doing in your business, we're a construction company and my project managers love using Procore, and we absolutely will not leave Procore, because that's our project management module, and we need that. We absolutely have an integration with Procore, as we do with ADP and so many other leading software vendors out there. So Acumatica also prides themselves in that open relationship as well.
Excellent. Josh, if there's anything else that we should make sure we highlight, given some of the things that have been important to clients, please feel free to jump in. But I think we've done a great job, Stacey, to your point of, flirting with the basics and hitting the feeling of Acumatica and the functionality of Acumatica, but never can you take a general demo in a lunchtime webinar and hit all the key points. So certainly we're open to working with anybody that wants to see a deeper, more specific look at things. And this has been great because what you hit on matters to everybody. And then there's so much more. And I think we can all feel that there's more, and we're going to leave everyone hanging exactly what you want to see in a general demo. So that's awesome. I really appreciate your time and effort. If anyone has any last questions, please be sure to jump in and ask them. And I'll use the last, we'll go over a couple minutes if necessary. One more admin thing I want to talk about, because we're so excited about the Acumatica partnership and really having AmplifyTech featured here within Amplify, we are doing an exciting campaign. It's a free implementation campaign. If you want to know the terms and conditions and all the details, you'll need to talk to Josh. I don't exactly know them, but it's really, really exciting. When Jesse brought it up, I was a bit nervous about a free implementation and what that meant and how that would work, but it's awesome that we're able to launch and be excited with emerging ERPs with this campaign. Every single applicant is getting 35% off their implementation. So regardless of whether you're the ultimate winner, you're still a winner because 35% off is nothing small. So please do make sure that you get your application in soon, because that campaign is coming to a quick end as we wrap up spring. And so the free implementation campaign, every candidate gets 35% off. So it's a really big opportunity. And that could be that driving reason why today's the day to start taking an ERP implementation seriously. The other thing I want to let you know about is Amplify's been in business for 5+ years, and we're really excited to be having a birthday or anniversary party, whatever you want to call it, in May. So May 30th, we're going to have a party, and you can get an invite if you send a note to us. So be sure to ask if you haven't received that invite yet. We haven't launched it super broadly quite yet, but we're starting to get pre-registration for that birthday party, and we know it's going to be quite exciting. And we're not going to do anything relating to demos or sales or expertise. It's just fun. No learning at the birthday party, but come and celebrate 5+ years of Amplify at that party. Stacey, anything else that you want to make sure that people remember?
Yeah, no, you know what? Acumatica is growing, like crazy. As you mentioned, you've been up against us a few times in deals, and you're like, you know what? I want to be part of this upward and onward, initiative here. And Acumatica comes out with 2 new releases every single year. We're listening to our clients. We're listening to what they need, and we're checking off the boxes. So, if you want to hang out with the cool kids, I would definitely recommend checking out what we've got.
Yeah, and Stacey, I'm really glad that you left at that point, because what I noticed when I was at the conference in Vegas, which was really fresh, we were so new as an Acumatica partner. So I went in a little bit, unknowing what I was getting into. And what I noticed in Vegas in terms of the customers that were on Acumatica, the other partners and service providers, which I guess would be our competitors, and then the Acumatica staff and your team members, was that it was a community that really shared the client experience North Star that Amplify is all about. Everyone was really, really pumped about serving their customers with value. The conversation and the energy wasn't about, gouging and tricking people into new modules and frankly things that you hear in other communities. That's not what we were hearing. It wasn't about how to influence or close quick or just, all about money, really, which you hear in a lot of the competitors and you hear in a lot of those communities. That's not what I heard when I was in Vegas. I heard about value, clients, and client experience. And as the chief experience officer of Amplify, I was so excited to just be in a conference of really, really same-minded people. And it was super exciting to see that consistency with the customers, with the Acumatica staff, and with our new competitors. And so it's a really amazing collaborative market, and I'm so happy that we get to be part of it. And so really think that it can serve a lot of business as well. So thanks for showing it, Stacy, and thanks for letting us be part of the team. And we're really excited about this new venture. And thanks, Josh, for all the calls. I'm sure you'll field now that people want to see a bit more, because we only showed them the tiniest bit. Have a great day. Have a great Easter weekend and a great spring break. And be sure to join us on the third Tuesday of April on our next webinar that we're talking talent with our recruiting team. And if you are in Calgary next week, we have April 4th live AHA with Amplify. So be sure to join us right here in our new building and have a drink and a bite and some learning with us. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.